The future is a very bright one. The investment in renewable energy, for example, is at the heart of our climate aims. Also, in terms of the speaking of English, English is the language of commerce around the world. That cannot be anything but a good thing. And we are, of course, pleased and proud that Morocco has taken that decision. And I think it's very impressive, the extraordinary ability of people in Morocco to speak all these different languages, which we're not so good at in the United Kingdom. So, you are an example to us of that. And both countries have very strong and brilliant ambassadors in each other's capitals. I know the Moroccan ambassador in London well. He's a distinguished businessman. He's done an immense amount of good for the business relationship between Morocco and the United Kingdom, but also here in Morocco, our very distinguished ambassador, who actually comes from my constituency of Sutton Coldfield back in the United Kingdom, is doing so much good to drive forward the relationship between our two countries. On the subject of football, football is the universal language of the world. But for me, there is only one team, and that is Aston Villa, which my constituents support in the Premier League. But in terms of the results of Brexit and the closeness on trade and so forth, we have introduced, now that we determine our own trade policy, we have introduced a scheme that is the best in the world in terms of encouraging quota-free, tax-free trade with Africa. And I think that that is one of the benefits of Brexit, which we can now see being implemented as a result of the fact that we can now determine our own trading policy on a bilateral basis between Britain and Morocco. At the African Climate Summit in Nairobi recently, President Ruto of Kenya looked forward towards the COP at the end of this year in the Middle East, in the UAE, and he said what we want to see is not the East and West, the North and South divided, but us approaching this in a spirit of unity. And that in many of for many of our problems to do with climate change, it is private sector investment and investment more widely which holds much of the key to resolving these issues. And I think that President Ruto spoke very wisely on behalf of Africa. But there are these various crises which you mentioned. As far as Ukraine is concerned, I think most of the world is horrified that Russia, a member of the Permanent Five at the United Nations, felt able to invade its neighbor, bomb its infrastructure, slaughter its citizens in this way. And we very much hope that this war will end soon because of the impact on Africa, the impact in terms of food supplies, the grain initiative, the Black Sea grain initiative, but also the effect that it has on the cost of living and inflation. And the sooner that the Ukraine is able to win this war and beat back the Russian invaders, the better. And we watch, of course, the emerging crisis that is taking place in Gaza. But we reflect that Israel has been the subject of the most appalling terrorist attack, and that Israel has the right to defend itself. So of course, we are watching that with immense humanitarian concern as matters unfold, and Britain will be providing humanitarian support, as we always do, to the innocent citizens and civilians who get caught up in these conflicts.